My girlfriend is mad at me just because I call my father sir?
Excuse me, ma'am.
I, 23 female, am from the deep south of the United States, while my girlfriend, 22 female, is from New England. We met at college when we were both freshmen and have been dating for 3 years.
I'm so glad it said new.
Because all of my family is from the south as well, I was hesitant to introduce my girlfriend to them. So they just recently met her about 6 months ago. And I'm very lucky that my family has been supportive thus far. My girlfriend likes my family as well and has fit in well. However, there's been a problem since the beginning that has been worse than normal lately.
Uh-oh.
By the way, this comes from Terrible Print 6849 on the OKstorytime subreddit. The problem is the fact I call my father sir. Not exactly exclusively, I do still call him dad, but most of the time I'm addressing him as sir. For some reason, this makes my girlfriend uncomfortable. The first time she brought it up was after the first time she met my parents, mostly commenting on how she thought it was a little silly. I laughed with her and explained it was just a cultural thing and thought that would be the end of it. I was about to say, it's just a cultural thing.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
I say ma'am than more than I do sir.
To your mom?
Anyone.
Yeah. It, however, was not the end of it. She brought it up nearly every time we saw my parents, and it quickly turned from joking to explaining how it made her uncomfortable and that I shouldn't feel like I have to call my dad that. I explained on multiple occasions that I don't feel like I strictly had to call him sir, and that it wasn't something that I was punished for not doing as a child or anything. It was just how things were. I call everyone I interact with sir or ma'am, from my 4-year-old cousin to any adult I speak with. She just doesn't seem to get it. I understand that it isn't really a thing where she's from, but that's just how things are down here. Things came to a bit of a head a few days ago when we had dinner at my parents', and as usual, I called my father sir, no different than any time I was with them. I noticed my girlfriend was a little quiet at dinner, but I didn't think much of it since sometimes she's on the quieter side. However, when we got in the car afterwards, she started talking about how I call my dad sir yet again. She explained that it made her uncomfortable because that is a title used for someone who has authority over you. She used the example as in the bedroom, and I shouldn't believe my father has any sort of control over me. I explained that I respected my father as he raised me to be the person I am today, the same with my mom, and once again tried to say that it was a little more than a cultural difference between the two of us. I'm not sure exactly what set her off, but she went off about how it made it sound like me and my dad have a weird relationship and that it sounds like a spicy desire.
What?
Your girlfriend is weird. I'll admit I got angry when she said that, but I did my best to not overreact. I asked her if she felt the same way about me calling my mother ma'am, and she said no. In the end, she asked that I never call my dad sir around her or not, and that if I did, I was disrespecting her boundaries. I said plain and simple that I was not going to stop calling him sir. And she got silent and is not speaking to me. I honestly don't see how I might be the a-hole here, but I want to hear from other people. If I'm truly in the wrong, I will do my very best to fix it and do better. And there is an update. No.
I'm just trying to think how to explain this to your parents.
Yeah, you're like, hey, Dad.
We're having some issues.
We're having a little bit of a tiff.
Oh, why is that, son?
I don't like it. First, some things to clarify. I not only call my dad sir, but pretty much every male in my life, from young children I work with to homeless people on the street. The same goes with calling females ma'am. It is just my father. My girlfriend has a problem with me calling sir. No other males. Also, for everyone suggesting or outright asking, the title sir has no place in our bedroom life. We use titles. That is not one of them. Anyway, I've tried several times over the past week to speak with my girlfriend about what went down, but she refused to talk for the most part, and I wasn't going to push her. It wasn't until tonight that I finally got a chance to sit down and have a real conversation with her. I read every single comment my original post got and asked her about several things. Someone suggested I ask if she had seen any example of my father trying to control me in any way. This got her worked up, and she walked away from the conversation for a little while, claiming I was trying to attack her. I gave her time to calm down and was honestly surprised when she returned to the conversation. She explained to me that it wasn't that she had seen specific things with my father trying to control me, but rather an undertone that I was in his control. I asked what she meant, but she didn't really have any other explanation beyond that because she doesn't have anything.
Yeah.
She doesn't have any proof. She's just being weird. I honestly don't know what undertone she was talking about. I respect my father and his knowledge and experience beyond mine, but I am a grown adult. I live and think independently and am perfectly capable of making my own decisions. I've occasionally asked for my father's advice on things since we've been together. Life advice, not relationship. And that may be what she's talking about, but I'm not sure. Another thing people brought up was a possibility of her having trauma around the title. I experienced regular essay as a child, and she knows that, so we've had conversations about the topic, but this was the first time I asked her outright if she had been through anything like that. And if that was the case, I would not hesitate to call my father something else to avoid triggering her. She said no, that she hadn't been through anything like that, and I honestly believe her. That isn't something she would be dishonest about. However, my offer to stop saying it if it was triggering her did the opposite of what I had hoped. She blew up at me, screaming that if I could stop because she was triggered, then why couldn't I stop just because she didn't like it? I tried to stay calm and explain that being weirded out by something is nothing close to having traumatic thoughts triggered, but she just kept going. In her yelling, she mentioned her boundary again and that I was being toxic. At this point, I could feel myself getting angry and said we could finish the conversation another time. She stormed out and I haven't spoken to her at all for the past several hours. Now, I've just been contemplating. I really don't want to give in and change how I address other people. I feel like she's being unreasonable, but maybe I'm the one being unreasonable. I'm just unsure how to proceed here. The thought of possibly ending the relationship has come up, but that seems like me making a bigger deal out of it than it is. I don't know. I'd be thankful for any advice on what to do. And there is another update.
Yeah.
But I don't think OPs would be making a big deal out of it. It's the girlfriend who's making the big deal. Like if you guys break up, it's because of her.
Oh yeah. Overreacting over this.
And it also seems like every time OP's like feeling herself get angry, she's like, you know what? Take a minute, come back when we're able to be calm, because her girlfriend keeps trying to escalate these arguments. Honestly, after posting my last update and getting comments about how my girlfriend is crazy and a walking red flag, I got a little defensive, not wanting to think that about her, but more recent events have really opened my eyes.
Here we go.
There you go. Here it is. My girlfriend returned to our home the morning after I posted the first update, but didn't want to talk. But I didn't mind because it gave me more time to think. Eventually, I told her we need to sit down and have a real conversation. No yelling. No accusations, and if she did either of those things, I would be pausing the conversation. She wasn't happy, but she agreed to it. I asked her again about trauma, more specifically her relationship with her father. I've interacted with her father many times and haven't noticed anything, but not all things are easily noticeable. So I asked anyway. She said that I was projecting my own issues with my father, which I don't have, onto her. And I can't comprehend an appropriate and respectful relationship between father and daughter. What is she?
Oh, wow.
Where's she coming up with this?
Oh, wow. You're trying to understand. And she's like, you're just projecting.
I did my best.
And then she's projecting.
Yeah, she's
because
projecting
she thinks that you're projecting. And then maybe you're actually projecting because maybe you do have issues. But maybe you're not because they have issues and they're putting that on you, and it just is endless.
It's an endless cycle. I did my best not to react to this and moved on. We talked in circles for a long time about everything that happened, and she eventually yelled out that she didn't feel respected in a relationship, that her telling me the first time that me calling my father sir made her uncomfortable should have been the end of it, that I shouldn't be prioritizing something as stupid as what I call my father over her, and that if I didn't stop, she would be breaking up with me. This girl is crazy. She also mentioned she didn't like how often we went to see my family, 5-ish times a month.
Aww.
That worried me, and I asked her if she felt unwelcome or anything around my family. And she said no, but talked about how I am an adult who needs to live my own life, and once again brought up breaking up with her if I didn't change things.
Oh, wow. So we have expectations we need to live up to. Great.
But you should never change. Joining us live every weekday at 3 p.m. PST on YouTube, Facebook, and TikTok. Just tap her profile. But before we get into it, not only is the title thing a huge red flag, but the fact that now she's like, I don't even want you to visit your family. Like she's like, oh, you're an adult. You can't see your family 5 times a month. What?
Yeah.
Some people are just close with their families.
Yeah.
She can't seem to comprehend that.
OP's a family gal.
Yeah. I see my family like at least, 1 to 2 times a week. Some people like their families.
Yeah. I see Angie's family like 3 or 4 times a month.
Yeah.
And if I was near my family, I probably would.
Exactly. Some people like their families.
Yeah.
And just because, I'm sorry, just because like it sucks if her girlfriend doesn't have a close relationship with her family, but don't put that out on other people.
Yeah, stop projecting that.
Projecting.
Yeah.
I ended the conversation when it didn't seem like she had anything else to say and said I needed to do some thinking. I've thought for a while and finally have made the decision to break things off with her. It's not an easy decision, and I still feel a little ridiculous for breaking it off over something so little as this, but I've come to realize that it's not just that. If this is the kind of person she's going to be and how she was going to go about conflict, I think it's best if I'm no longer with her.
Let's go.
Woo! I haven't had the conversation with her about that yet, but I know I need to soon. I sometimes struggle to put my thoughts together the right way, so any advice on how to approach that without setting her off again would be appreciated. And that is the end of that story.
All right, OP.
I think you're making the right decision.
Heck yeah.
She's intense and I don't like her.
I don't like her either.